You'd mentioned, you talked to a doctor and said, hey, you might as well just try carnivore. Have you followed up with him to show you the results, and have any sort of thoughts on that, or how they may have responded to your success?
I did. I emailed him a year into it, and I quit seeing him. But I emailed him a year into it with all the list of things that had changed. And he came back, yay, good for you. But I simply can't recommend it to the rest of my patients because they'd never follow it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And even my ex-husband, who still sees clients for nutrition, well, I'm just not convinced other people could do it. How much is that costing people? Feeling bad and feeling sick or having joint pain or whatever is so much more difficult than giving up a food. That's my perspective anyway. And people all the time, I talked to people the other day, I could never do that. Yeah, you could. If it hurts bad enough, you could. Anybody could. I guess it doesn't hurt bad enough. I don't know.
Yeah, it is interesting. People, say, well, it's not, they'll even say about low carb diets, well, they're not sustainable. And you've got people that have been doing it for 20, 30 years without problem. And, who are you to decide what's sustainable for me or somebody else? And you're very much right. Let me ask you, obviously your quality of life is much better. I mean, I don't think that's questionable. I don't know. Do we talk about your cholesterol levels? Cholesterol levels gone up? I mean, some people it does, some people it doesn't. What's been your experience?
They're the same.
Yeah.
Maybe because I was low carb already for a long time. No, they're perfect. I have low triglycerides, high HDL. Mm-hmm. Total cholesterol is, I don't know, around 200 or so. It's a nothing burger. I now have ditched all doctors. The only one I see is a PA locally who's completely supportive, agrees with everything I'm doing, is surprised about carnivore, but is very, very supportive, gives me any test I want without any questions. I don't carry insurance because I do not want them dictating what I do or don't do. I just pay for things. And fortunately, but I'm telling you, the lack of Lyme treatments and supplements has saved me, I don't know, $20,000 a year.
Wow.
I mean, a lot. And between that and not paying the insurance premiums, I can save up a lot for whatever tests I want. So he even has said, there's no sense in you even ever testing for cholesterol again. You're fine. You never, just don't even think about it. I'm like, okay, that's good. I like that.
So your husband, is he carnivore? It doesn't sound like he's completely carnivore, I'm guessing.
That's pretty funny. I tried when we first started. Now his previous wife was a vegetarian or a vegan. And so on my watch, he lost an extra 10 pounds that I thought he was carrying anyway. And he was very carb centric, fish centric. So when he came to me, I was keto, and that was like almost 18 years ago now. And I got him switched away from being addicted to restaurants because I am a cook. And so got him hooked on home cooking and more meat centric, but with a lot of vegetables and fruits for him. So when I went carnivore, I'm like, well, it'd be great for him too. And he immediately lost too much weight. So I had to pack some fruit in with him, and that worked. And he does fine on it. Lost some of his joint pain. He did better, but started complaining about that he loves flavor and wants variety and flavor. And I'm like really frustrated because carnivore is so easy and simple, and there's just nothing to do but throw a steak on the grill. But he's fussing, and I'm a loving wife. So I make him separate food. But what I'll do is I'll take the parts of the animal that we have in the freezer that are tougher, the bigger, the chunks. I roast it, and then I throw it in the pressure cooker so it will shred. And then I'll make him a saucy, goopy, something with seasonings and, caramelized onions and cream and yogurt, because he can have dairy, and make it so he's happy. Or I'll make him a fish with a nice sauce, a creamy butter sauce. So I cook for him. I just cook separate. I don't eat what he eats, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That works for us.
If for somehow, meat became unaffordable for you or unobtainable for you for some reason, they said, let's say 5 years from now, they said, well, we're going to have to put limits. And that's very plausible. They could do. You're only allowed to have, 4 pounds of red meat per week. How would that impact you?
I live in terror of that. It's constantly on my mind. I try not to, read too much about it because it scares me. I'm not sure I would probably be a rebel enough to figure out a way to grow my own. Mm-hmm. I would just figure that out. Whatever it took, I would make sure. Otherwise, I can't go back. I think at this point, if I had to not eat meat, it would be a life. It would be devastating. So, no, I'm not. Those are not happy thoughts, and shame on them for trying to go there and dictate what people eat. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, for people like you and many others, and myself included, I think we just can't just let whatever happen. We have to be active about it, and we have to sort of defend our ability to eat in a way that makes us the healthiest. And there are people and companies that don't really care and don't care about our health. So
as long as we have the ability to have private farms, if they can track you, if you go to the grocery store and, for your quotas, as long as you have the ability to either grow it yourself or buy from somebody who does, we'll be okay. Because I think in any restrictive society, you always have a black market. You always have an underground economy. And we found that even when we illegally visited Cuba, back when it was illegal to go to Cuba, we went from Mexico in. And we found that people just do things underground. And I think you'll always find that. And if that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do. And
yeah, interesting. I mean, with increased digital surveillance, it becomes harder and harder, I think, for that to happen. But anyway, hopefully we won't get to that. Kat, we're running out of time. This has been wonderful. And I didn't know all the story that you had, so I'm glad you got to share this.